Good morning, loves. Today it is the 22nd of March. Today it is finally warm enough to start planting some of our seedlings outside. And I've been really waiting for this moment because, as some of you might know, I really strongly dislike the winter. And being able to plant our seedlings outside is kind of the start of summer for me. We've had some really hot couple of days, even though it's only March. If you've been following my channel so far, you know that I'm from the Netherlands and hot days are really hard to come by here. But last week it has been 20 degrees for 2 days, so that's really exciting for me, of course. Now, as you can see here, I'm just placing all of my seedlings outside. And today I'm going to start placing our beans, lettuce and pumpkins outside. These seedlings I've all started in my hallway, but the space is getting a little crowded with everything, so it's time to place them all outside. This is everything I've grown so far. We have beans, pumpkins, tomatoes, peppers, and so much more that I'm not going to get into right now because the list is quite long. I'm just starting off by plucking out some weeds that I've been growing here. It has also been really dry here for the last few days, so I did water this soil yesterday. While digging around, I found this little mint plant. I dumped a pot full of soil into this garden bed, and it was the pot that we grew mint in last year. I really love growing mint, so I'm going to do that this year again, but in a way bigger container. Next up, I'm just digging around in the dirt, just kind of loosening it up. Our ground is very dry and clay-like, so when it has been dry for a couple of days, it tends to create this little layer on top. It's almost like a thick dry crust, and plants won't be able to grow through that. I also found my first earthworm of the year, and look how big it is! This is a really good sign that the garden is healthy and that the ground is fertile for any crops that I'll be growing here. It's always nice to see life in the garden. And with that being said, I have a nice little update. Because this evening my dad is going to visit, and he's going to bring by a small egg incubator and some quail eggs. So that means that we are going to be hatching some quail, and the first bunch that we will be hatching out will be kind of like an experiment to see if we would like to keep quail in the future. Right now I'm just separating all of our bean plants so that we can place them into the garden bed. These are yellow and purple Dar French beans. So it is a smaller type of plant, but I really wanted to do these this year because my dad brought them from the Eden Project in England. But back to the quail. We are currently looking for an animal that we can keep for meat. We already have chickens, but these chickens we do not butcher. We are also planning on hatching out a few more chickens, but before we do that we do need a bigger coop. But yeah, these quail will be kind of an experiment to see if we actually like butchering. And I think it will be interesting at first. It is kind of a big step for us, but we're also really excited for it. We do plan on becoming somewhat self-sufficient in the future. And this year will be kind of the first year of us doing that because I'm going to be growing a lot of food this year. Or at least I hope so. But me and Max are strong believers that we need meat. And part of becoming self-sufficient for us would mean butchering too. Eventually we would like to have pigs and cows too. But of course we're gonna need a little bit more space for that. You can see right here I was digging around with our beans and I found an onion. I have used these containers for onions, and after I planted all of our onions outside I put beans in them. So I think that was the one that I was missing. But yeah, I'm just getting our last few beans and then I'm going to start putting them in the garden bed. I'm planning on putting them all in the back row. Because even though this is a Dar variety, they will still be taller than most of the other plants I'll be growing in front of them. And I don't want to block out the sunlight too much. This does mean that I'm going to have to find a new place for our tomatoes and peppers, because last year I put them on the edge of the garden bed up against the fence. But we do have a lot more room, so that will be okay. So I'm just starting by digging one hole. And then I just grabbed a potting mix that I had left over. And I'm going to throw a handful in every hole, just so they have a little bit of a head start. And like I said, our ground is very clay-like, so this way the roots get a little bit more love. And then I'm just grabbing a bean plant and I'm putting it in that spot. And I'm going to be making a row of around 10. And if you remember when I planted these, you know that I've never actually tried these beans before. So if I end up disliking it, they will go to our chickens and our neighbors and maybe our parents. But nothing will go to waste. But now I'm just going to speed up the process a little bit because I could imagine you wouldn't like watching everything. So now all of our bean plants are in. And I had a few left over, so I gave those to the chickens. Next up, I'm going to put this pumpkin plant in the garden patch too. And I know that these plants of course are a little bit bigger. So I'm going to place it on the far left side, and that way when it grows bigger it can kind of creep over the edge. And I hope that that way it can creep around in the garden a little bit and we will have pumpkins in the grass. I think this plant is going to bring a lot of life into our garden. And the pumpkins that are going to come from this plant I'm going to use in my autumn video. Every autumn, around Halloween of course, I like to carve jack-o'-lanterns and I like to have my chickens help me with that. Basically what I do is I scrape up the top layer of the pumpkin and I make it into a little design or like a pattern, and my chickens will chew up that part of the pumpkin. I did make a video of this last year and I think it turned out pretty well, so if you want to see what I'm talking about you can go check out that video later. I'll leave a little info card at the top right I think of the screen. What I showed you just now, those two little pots, were kale. I love eating kale. Of course I'm Dutch, so I can't go without boerenkool. So I did want to grow this year too. Last year I was a little bit too late with our kale, but this year I'm quite early, so I hope they will survive. I thought about where to put them because again they're kind of big plants, so I don't want to put them in front of anything. And the right side of my garden bed I'm reserving for potatoes, so I do have to fit it somewhere in this left section. What I decided on was to put it on the right side of this very left section. You can see the little rows of stones I made. In between those rows I planted carrots. And carrots don't really have to be in the full sun, but they will still be in the full sun at the beginning of every day. I just put 2 for now because again these are quite big plants. And also Max doesn't really like boerenkool, so those 2 are only for me. Now I'm going to be grabbing this tray, and in this 3rd row I planted lettuce. And I'm going to be grabbing a few of those and I'm going to sow them into our garden. We love lettuce, we love eating salads and stuff, and everything we won't eat will go to our chickens. So either way it's going to be eaten. This is going in the center front part of the garden bed. And I'm not going to do that much because I don't have enough room for a lot. So I'm just doing 9 for now. And it was right here where I noticed that our bean plants are hanging dry. So I'm giving them a quick spray with water. And I also watered everything else I had growing. And after watering everything I made sure to clean up the mess I made. A little bit of an update on our grass. The chickens have eaten absolutely everything, but it is starting to come back. I thought I would have to resow everything, but apparently not, so I'm just going to resow the barren patches that will be left over. It is very, very dry though. Up close you can really see that we have a lot of clay in our garden. So just to break that up a little bit, I am going to be watering our garden quickly. But that will be it for this video. If you like this video, then please consider leaving a like and also subscribing to see more of my videos. Updates on the quail are coming soon. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.